Hello and a very warm welcome to this episode of Digital Dialogues powered by CXO Digital Pulse. Today we have an eminent guest from the industry with whom we'll be conversing about how enterprises can be future ready and transform for a better tomorrow. Our guest, an engineer at heart, is passionate about solving the most critical issues in the network technology. He leverages the combination of his technical knowledge and business experience that spans for over 28 years to bring simplicity to the most critical and complex networking infrastructure for his customers. Please welcome Mr. Sajan Paul, who is the country manager as well as managing director for India and SAARC region at Juniper Networks.
Thank you, Pratik, for that introduction.
Mr. Sajan, I would say today, the era that we are living in, I would call it an AI era because everything around us is infused with AI.
Yeah.
So what are your views on the notion that the future is autonomous via human and AI collaboration?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think artificial intelligence have permeated into almost every domain in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the technology, we call it the machine learning. It's been around for many decades, but I think what really accelerated it is the humans' access to infinite compute and infinite storage.
Mm-hmm.
These two have come together with the collective human wisdom has given rise to a new era of artificial intelligence we call the Gen AI or generative AI. And one of the key benefits of that is that it can actually be very creative. It can generate content, create novelty, and then build a system which sometimes it's almost difficult for a human to think about. And coming to a networking infrastructure, I think one of the key benefit of artificial intelligence of any form and shape is that we can build autonomous systems.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll come back to the human intervention later, but I think at a broad level, it can actually build autonomous systems. You may want to call it self-driving networks, self-driving IT infrastructure. It's a dream for a CIO to have their network infrastructure in the digital economy, that you have a self-driving infrastructure who knows what is required for the business to thrive.
Okay. And as you said that it's changing the overall landscape of machine learning also.
Yeah.
So do you think with the emergence of generative AI, how do you think the role and functions of artificial intelligence or machine learning, how are they evolving?
Yeah, so machine learning is any artificial intelligence, the fundamental thing is an unbiased data source. Okay. So you need to get that unbiased data source through machine learning. Mm-hmm. And that's the machine learning algorithm that is used to learn infinite set of data, as much as possible unbiased data. If you have a biased data, the decisions are also biased because
True.
the machines don't understand the emotions. So you need unbiased data, and then through which the artificial intelligence AI systems can actually come up with the predictive analytics or create their own very realistic content, and it spans across, not just limited to text. It could be text, it could be video, it could be speech, audio, it could be any form of outlet. Yeah.
Okay. And in what sort of ways, because these are some things which are impacting as a business, the enterprises, how they want the businesses to be run and revenue. But when it comes to the sustainability factor, the environmental aspects, how do you think AI and automation are impacting this aspect?
As I mentioned earlier, I think artificial intelligence would need almost infinite compute and infinite storage. Any compute and storage would need a lot of power, a lot of power and cooling. Both are very intensive to build large, we call the AI clustered data centers or very high performance data centers. At the same time, if you ask me, because I represent Juniper, we have a green initiative. Okay. What we're trying to do is all our high-end systems have AI-based intelligence built, and if certain subsystems are not being used, it has an intelligence to shut it down and then conserve energy. So we are giving back to the nature, and then the systems will revive again when there is a need, it's a dynamic need. And then AI does, while we could do it without AI in a static way, AI allows us to do it much more dynamic and more creative way. That's one way to look at it. Then other sustainability aspects are, one of the key trends in data center is to create sustainable zero carbon footprint data centers, and many vendors are going that. Juniper is also in the forefront of that. We have an ambition to be carbon neutral by 2025.
Okay.
And all our India operations, almost 95% of the power that we utilize is green energy. And that's the biggest achievement and one of the leading players in that field now.
That's definitely amazing, and you have I suppose very clearly laid down, because as you mentioned that you want to be a zero carbon emission by 2025.
Yes.
That's amazing. And as you mentioned about that, data centers are definitely contributing at a higher level to this.
Yes.
What do you think are the trends for hybrid data center in the coming years, or if I may say more specifically for the upcoming year 2024?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. In the pandemic, people were running to the cloud, so that they wanted to have a business continuity, and those who were very close to cloud native applications could easily migrate to a cloud. People were running legacy architecture, they could not go to the cloud. And some of the businesses have come to almost a complete stop during the pandemic because they couldn't really go to the cloud at that ease. But what we are seeing now is that hybrid cloud is the normal now. Hybrid clouds are normal. I think some of the surveys says that 75% of the enterprises will have their most critical applications on premises, and then remaining could be in multi-cloud or co-located sites or things like that. And we are seeing that almost 83% of the enterprises would like to build on-prem infrastructure, on-prem hybrid infrastructure for data centers. So that's going to be a real trend going forward. It's already begun. It's not that something will start next year, but it's already begun post-pandemic. I think some of the statistics show that if you build a private cloud, your return on investment could be in less than 4 months.
Okay.
I think it's a great ROI. Of course, there are challenges too. I think that's a longer answer. I'll come back to that, but I think this is really a trend, and that's going to happen.
I'm sure now with more maturity coming to the enterprises, I believe they are understanding what needs to sit on the cloud and which is something needs to be on-prem. And a very good example of the same, I would say, a few months back, I was reading an article where Elon Musk mentioned that they have moved some of the critical data files back to on-prem, which really saved them somewhere around 35% of the cost on a monthly basis.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in India, how fast are you seeing this trend of moving to hybrid or cloud repatriation?
I think it is the cloud repatriation. I think that's a great word. Cloud repatriation is happening as we speak.
Okay.
Because it's an economic decision, and the net result is that a much faster return on investment, better privacy and control, and it is also aligning to the compliance framework depends on the various sectors. Keeping your data close to your premises is actually more secure than keeping it somewhere else. I think all those are contributing to that, and I see that there are certain things you can't avoid running it from the on-premises infrastructure, but most of the critical applications can run from the on-premises. Okay.
So is it more that data is now being called the gold for enterprises? That's the most valuable asset for them. So it's because the privacy or around data that they want to move on-prem from cloud? Do you think that's one of the key drivers?
I mentioned about the compliance and policy framework, government regulations. If it's a banking finance sector, RBI has their own regulations. Yes. Then there are DPDP, I think you'd have heard of the Data Protection and Privacy Bill. In that, the penalties, if you are a custodian of public information, then the penalties involved is sometimes can be really damaging to the company's bottom line. So all these are kind of kind of nudging the users to come back, apart from the financial gains. The other angle, which is fairly new, is that if you are building AI clusters, artificial intelligence systems, the common argument is that you can't build an infinitely scalable compute architecture on your premises. You need a cloud framework. So I would tend to believe that. You cannot build large, high-performance GPU farms in your premises unless you are a very tech company. So you will actually interact with an AI infra provider to consider. The other angle is that you may need to have, most of the enterprises don't want to send their data to a cloud to train the AI cluster. AI cluster is all about how you train them.
Yes.
So can I run a private training model which suits my enterprise? So that will need definitely an on-prem or a co-located solution, not a cloud solution.
With so much going around in terms of technology space, I would say it's the most dynamic space right now. What, as per your recommendation, should be in a CXO's technology toolkit to remain agile, resilient, and more adaptable to this dynamic world?
I think a few things, as I said, I think are going to combine with the challenges involved in the cloud repatriation. One is, of course, the need for speed.
Okay.
Because cloud guys are ahead of the curve in terms of getting the greatest technology, the latest technology, the greatest GPU density, and the bandwidth and data center interconnect and all that. If you are actually bringing it into your CIO's on-prem environment, then you need to also kind of follow that trend, because there is a performance-related issue, latency-related issue, and all those things you need to see. The second thing they need to worry about, these are the things they should have the answers in their toolkit. Okay. One, how do you manage the speed? How do you manage the complexity or reducing the complexity of the network? Because these clusters that we build are not very simple, machines. They need real skill set to do that. That leads me to the third one: is do you have the skill set to maintain all this? If you have all the answers to this in the toolkit, I think they'll be very successful.
Okay, that's great. And with all these answers, and I would believe that this humongous opportunity, especially when I talk about India, the overall IT spending is expected to go beyond $120 billion by next year. So with this growth, which is of more than 10%, what opportunity do you foresee in India as a region?
So cutting across all verticals, of course, Juniper operates in various verticals. The telecom infrastructure is one of the biggest vertical, in which the fundamental mission of the telecom infrastructure is to give reliable connectivity to the people and the devices, or the things, or the people and the things, because that is the infrastructure they build. I see that spending will increase.
Okay.
Because we need larger coverage, we need better performing networks across the nook and corners of India. The other thing what I'm seeing specific to India is that our fiberization is pretty low.
Okay.
Maybe lower double digit is our fiberization, maybe in 10 to 20%. That means we don't have a reliable fiber framework. So we need a lot of such infrastructure need to come up. So there will be investment coming in that direction as well. Coming to the data centers, we see that the co-location data center business will go up. We used to think that hyperscalers will steal all the show, that everybody is going to cloud, and then the hyperscalers will actually will command how the data centers will behave. But I think with the repatriation, we see that both on-prem and co-location data centers will continue to be one of the key drivers. And I'm seeing that a lot of new data centers with AI clusters, because that needs a different framework. It's a very high performance framework, and very few vendors like Juniper and a few other vendors can build that kind of a high performance AI cluster infrastructure. That's another area that I'm seeing it will find a huge growth. Then post-pandemic, I'm seeing the wireless has become more wireless networks at large. Even in the work environment, wireless networks have become more prominent compared to the wireline network across the industry, whether it's IT, ITS industry or manufacturing, with IT and OT convergence, all of them wanted to rely on wireless networks. They don't want cables connected. That means there will be a huge acceleration in adoption of wireless networks.
Okay.
And Juniper Wireless Networks is one of the best in the industry with the 7th generation AI ops, the AI operations built into that. And then that will give them an ability to even give an assurance, because in wired networks you have assurance built in. In wireless network you don't see the waves, so therefore you don't know what's going to happen at what moment. Our solution will give them a very in-depth analysis and then course correction and auto. It's literally self-driving assured wireless network. I think these are the areas I am focusing on going forward, and that is completely aligning with the industry trends too.
Okay, great. And with that, it definitely looks that the amalgamation of the emerging technology, specifically AI, with the existing infrastructure will be paving new opportunities, and thought of having a sustainable, an agile and a resilient enterprises will move us towards a shining India. With that, thank you so much for being with us.